Welcome to the Mr. Insurance Podcast. I have a very good friend of mine and a special guest from Destin, Florida. Originally a native of St. Louis. Here I got Mr. Sean Vincent. A lot of you all know Sean. He's a big time celebrity in St. Louis over here. So I'm super glad to have him on here. So welcome, man.
Yeah, thanks, brother.
How was the flight? We literally I feel terrible because I literally grabbed you from the airport and was like, hey, we're going to head on out here to Wentzville and, do our thing over here with that. But
absolutely.
But yeah, man, we've been talking about this for a minute as we're checking our phones over here.
I'm turning mine off.
That's what I just did, actually.
D&D, there we go.
But yeah, man, I really appreciate you coming up here, and we'll kind of allude into the business venture and, what we've been doing. So I had watched you on, online and everything. And, seeing, I was like, you know what? He's all of a sudden, he's renting cars, and all of a sudden he got 10 cars. And I'm like, man, this guy's got 50 cars now.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure next year you probably have 500 cars.
Yeah.
If you're anything like me, and I know you are. So, but tell me a little bit about the Turo business. And we're actually having you co-host for us because we have some cars here in St. Louis that we also do. But tell me a little bit about that business and kind of how you landed in it. And I mean, it's so different from mortgages where you were at before. So just tell me, kind of how that all went down.
Well, it's kind of funny how it all started, but when you look back, it's there's definitely a lot of God that played in this. Mm-hmm. Not to get too churchy, but it really is. And you'll see how it happens. But, when I left the mortgage industry, I went right into a coaching industry. And we would do these really intense military-style boot camps on the beach and in classroom, and they were highly effective. I went through one as a client and then started working with the guys.
Yeah.
And so part of that was, at least part of my duty I took on. I said, well, I'll handle getting a van to transport all the clients for the week. Not a big deal, right? And we used to do these in California, and I had a place to go rent the vans. Not a big deal. And I would just fly in, go get the van, go check in. Well, when COVID happened, California shut down, and our CEO happened to live in Destin, Florida. And so we moved all of our events to that beach on the East Coast because Florida was still open for business. So
were you still living in St. Louis?
I was still living in St. Louis and flying in for all the events.
Got it.
And then, so I got a van, same thing, went to Enterprise or somewhere, got a van, big 15 passenger. And then no big deal, had a great event. A month later, we have another event, can't find a van anywhere. And I'm kind of panicking. We've got clients flying in from all over. We had a gentleman coming in from France. It was
the big deal.
Panic.
Yeah.
And old Sean here said, "I got the vans, no problem," which among other things. But anyway, so I'm freaking out, and I'm like, "Well, we need a van. I got to figure this out." So I call our mutual friend Alex David.
Yeah.
And I said, "Hey, I need a favor. I need you to buy a van at the auction. Let me use it for a week. I'll pay you for the week, and then you sell it at the auction when we're done." And he says, "Hold on, wait." You know how he's always real calm. He's like,
right.
wait, back up. What are you trying to do?" So I explained, and he goes, "Dude, just use Turo." I said, "What the hell's Turo? Never heard of it." Turo, Turo. And it's like a...
Isn't that the lawnmower?
Yeah.
Not
Turo.
like Turo, yeah.
So if anyone out there has not heard of it or experienced it or used it yet, it's like Airbnb for cars. And you can rent other people's cars. And so I looked it up, and what do you know? I found a guy that had 10 of those vans. I'm like, we can't find these things anywhere, and this guy has 10 of them.
Yeah.
So immediately my wheels are spinning, and I meet the guy, and I'm asking all these questions, and then after about the third question, he shuts down, you're trying to figure my business out.
Right.
Stay out of my good.
space.
Yeah, stay out of my lane. And so, but man, it was on my mind. So if you know me, and I'm like you,
yep.
I go home and I tell my wife, we're going to buy 100 cars.
And she tells you you're crazy.
Yeah, she said, okay, whatever, just, we're not. And so I'm just on this thing for a while, and because I just go 0 to 100 with my ideas. And so sure enough, she says, well, let's start with one car. Okay. So about a week and a half later, I said, well, we start with one car and I put your car on Turo.
Oh my gosh.
And so
And
we
somebody
made,
smoked it out. And yeah.
yeah,
Went good, right? Yeah.
it actually did go well. And after just 2 car rentals, we made the car payment. And I'm like, okay, business mind turned
Yeah.
on and my wheels are spinning. So I'm doing it times 50, times 100, and getting excited.
Right.
And again, thank God for my wife, because I would have bought 50 or 100 of the wrong cars and we'd be upside down on day one.
Yeah.
So I'm on this mission. Like, how can I do this? It's been on my brain for like 6 months. And in our coaching business, we had another event, and this guy named Brandon Bartron from Arizona was one of the clients in our event. And I told everyone, open your journals, start writing this out. What are your goals for this business, or however many businesses you have? And we're trying to help people grow their businesses. I peek over his shoulder and it says, grow my Turo business.
No.
And I said, hey, you do Turo? I do Turo. I've got one car. I'm getting ready to get my second car. I'm kind of like
Right.
puffing my
Getting a
chest.
Dodge Stratus.
Yeah. And I said, how many do you have? He said, real calm. He said, I have 100 cars.
Oh,
Wait,
wow.
wait. So you're telling me my idea isn't crazy. My wife thinks I'm crazy, but you're telling me there's a business model here. Oh, yeah, definitely. I said, and you're profitable. He said, oh, yeah. So that's the moment I knew. I said, I'm doing this. So I waited till his experience was over in the event. I didn't want to be selfish.
Yeah.
And afterwards, I reached out to him and I said, hey, I will pay you, and I'm going to call it my college education. I want to know everything. I'm not in a competing market. Will you teach me? Let me be the student now. I was your
the
coach.
same guy that you're still going to for mentor, the Arizona guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got an amazing program. He's
That's
now,
the dude. He's like, he got like a toy bin pretty much.
oh, he's got
like,
everything. He's got Rolls Royce, Lamborghinis.
Yeah.
He's got everything. And all the regular cars too.
Right.
But anyway, so I flew out there. He let me stay in his house. He charged me $0 and said, I just want to return the favor for what you guys did for me with your coaching business.
Wow.
Wow. So he gives me the blueprint. I spend 2 days with him, and I come home and I start. And we start buying cars, and it's just mainly me. And then my wife starts helping because it was getting crazy.
Yeah.
And you can do about 10 to 15 cars on your own, maybe with some help with someone else. But then it starts getting a little hectic. Keys are misplaced.
We got like 7, and I've got like 2 guys running around.
Yeah.
And it gets crazy just in that. So I can't even imagine being one person doing it.
It was pretty intense. I was, I did the opposite of what I coach my clients to do. I kind of went all in on one area, but I did address it up front with my wife. I said, hey, we're going to make some sacrifices, but I'm going to build the foundation, and I'm going to die trying, but I already see it. And when you see it, right? When you see it, like it's on, and there's no telling me any different. And so
That's the
so we
biggest thing with
began.
entrepreneurs, man. When you see a vision, you see an opportunity, you see a way to fill a need, that's where the entrepreneurship really truly comes out. And that's not something that everybody sees. That's something that, like has really been a model in like my insurance business. Like I got in trouble. I was using drugs and drinking alcohol too much. I was liking to drive, and I got in trouble, and I was treated very, very poorly. I was treated like I had like leprosy or the plague or something, and nobody wanted to insure me. And I figured it out, and I found it, and I'm like, why wouldn't I change this? Why wouldn't I be, the guy that is like, I could help, because I'd seen that people would be locked into this system. The system takes a chokehold over you, and it wants you to stay a part of that system, which is why I believe that you see so much repeating offenses.
Yeah.
Because it's just one extra little offense to do that. And it's a money game. It's a cash grab. So why would they not? Because these towns, that's where they're banking off of to be able to like pave their roads and, pay for their judges and, the street lights and things like that. So I can definitely understand. But anyway, continue what you were saying.
Well, my
Made a
ADD
beeline.
has kicked in, and I
Right.
have no idea. But now we're on this topic. But no, anyways, I'll just talk about that at the beginning again. And it was just it was the first time I knew, like in my heart, like this is what I'm supposed to be doing right now. There's many business things I chased for the wrong reason, the money or this that went with it.
Yeah.
I put that first. And this was, I know we're going to suffer for a long time. Told my wife, this is going to suck for a little bit. Peanut butter and jellies, ramen noodles, whatever. I'm exaggerating, but it was going to be tight.
Yeah.
And we are in our 11th month in business. So in February, it'll be 1 year. And we have 85 cars. And we are probably the largest within 500 miles of us in Florida.
That's
I would
awesome.
say probably Atlanta. There's probably somebody larger than me for sure. And Tampa are down. So I'm really proud of that, and there's so many people that helped me along the way. One of my personal friends gave me a loan to start because I'll tell you, nobody wants to lend money on Turo cars, or it's kind of like Uber. Like, hey, we're going to go buy 10 Uber cars. A bank would be like, no.
Right. Well, and not only that, like we were talking about in the car ride over here, is that we instinctively, we want to buy things that we like. And you can't do that. You have to buy for your audience.
Right.
You have to cater to your audience. So like we had seen like there was like a Toyota Camry or something like that. I personally, I don't know if I fit in a Toyota Camry, right? So not that there's anything wrong with that. Like I'm sure there's a lot of great Toyota Camrys and people that drive them.
Mm-hmm.
But it would not be my first one. Be like, oh, I got to have that Toyota Camry, right? Or like, I got to have that Toyota Scion. I'm like picking the Toyotas, but or that's whatever. Anyway, so as far I want to be like, hey, let me hook myself up with like a Hyundai Accent, or something like that.
Right.
That's not what I would be after. But if you look at what is rented, and you look at the area, it's definitely. It makes you think differently in a business capacity as opposed to like a selfish or a personal capacity.
Yeah. Well, you and I, the last car we would be searching for is a minivan. Yeah. And that's probably one of our best cars.
I know, man.
It's crazy.
They're nice too. And I hate to admit
the new ones
it.
are pretty nice. I'm not going to lie. They're pretty cool.
I'll be honest with you. So like we bought this 15 passenger van, right? Yeah. And I'm driving to the airport for my kids we were going to get one of the guys that is one of our co-hosts that he moves around some of the cars for us, and he was gonna drive us there to the airport, but I was driving over to his house to pick him up, and then the kids were in the van. I'm like, man, this thing's like kind of nice, and then so like all of a sudden, like Christmas tunes are on and stuff, and I start like blaring some Snoop Dogg and some Christmas tunes and everything else, and the kids are like, "Oh my gosh, Dad! Like, I don't want to be seen with you. Please, like, take me out of this nightmare." And it was like Christmas vacation, man. You know what I mean? I'm like, 'cause I like got my Chevy Chase on, and my wife was just hysterically laughing. She's just like, I've never seen you like cut loose like that. It was it was really nice, and to have all that extra room and everything. And we use the transit van. There's a lot of like weddings, and I had to look at it like this too, because I was like, I feel like we need to take some, because the seats don't fold down in the back. I was like, we need to take some seats out. And then I'm like, wait a minute, this is a people mover, not like a This isn't like, your bags and stuff. We're not trying to move all that. Right. You're not usually having a person like that's getting a 15-seater that is, again, they're trying to move people.
Right.
So, yeah, learning those different things. I've had some bad experiences in this as well, too. Like in the St. Louis market, I had a guy that, I don't know if he just had like a complete, just hot boxed the hell out of the Range Rover. I'm talking, this thing stunk like a 15-year-old bowling alley that had just been nonstop smoked in. Ugh. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And this is where I was introduced to like the ozone machine.
Oh yeah.
But I think I could have thrown holy water around in the car, and I don't think I could have gotten rid of that smell. It finally just went away. The ozone machine was awesome. And we made it happen and everything, and it worked out. But in that being said, I had a new, porter, right?
Right.
So the guy hits me up and, I said, hey, I've got this one that's going out tomorrow, but I've got this other, nicer Mercedes. So it was just like my personal car. Okay. But I'm like trying to, I'm trying to think. I'm
Right.
like, it's just sitting in the garage. It's not making any money. So let's just make it some money. So my guy goes out there and he drops the car off. And this guy's paying more for the Benz, right? As opposed to the Range Rover. And, he shoots me a picture and the rim is just like curb rash, like you would never believe, right? And I was like, oh man, that sucks. But, the guy like quickly addressed it and he was like, I'll take care of it. I was coming around the corner and I caught the rim and, I'm really sorry, that kind of thing. But, I took care of it. I cleaned everything else up inside. This guy put like the most shiny Armor All nasty crap all over the inside. I mean, like you could like slide off the seat when you're like making a turn
Yeah.
with your belt on. It was everywhere. And it reeked so bad of smoke. And so he went and he dropped his car off. And then he brings it back and I stick my head in there and I'm like, man, this thing smells awful. And I was like, why did you drop the car off? Like, why didn't you call somebody to come out there and not rent to the guy, because he's clearly smoked in the car and, it's not going away. So we had to like cancel a couple other reservations because of that, because we couldn't get the smell out of the car. And then, this guy, he like kept extending the lease on there, right, or the rental. He kept extending the rental. And so I was just like, I'm really nervous about this. And I'm like, there's no smoking in these cars. I want to make that abundantly clear. There is none whatsoever. And, oh yeah, I never smoke in your car, man. It's no problem. We got back that Benz. We got hit again. And it was bad. God. And it was just an awful smell. And like when that's your personal vehicle, like you have to be ready to desensitize yourself to that vehicle.
100%.
It's kind of like, like an Airbnb, like you were saying, you got to know that people are going to be romping in your bed.
Yeah.
So like you got to understand somebody's going to shoot, something across the room or whatever, like there's some nasty, like somebody be doing something up in there. So you just got to understand it. And the thing is, it really, really bothered me. It bothered me like it still does because every time that I get in that thing, I still smell a little bit of the ozone. A machine in there. We did get it out to the point of where it can be rented again. But now I'm like, now that I refell back in love with the Escalades.
Yeah.
So, I had been driving that, and then we had the Range Rover. This thing is like a one-off paint job. It's like we blacked out all the emblems and everything else. We made it super nice and everything. It's got 22-inch rims on there, like super custom. It's got autobiography. It's amazing.
Nice.
Come back, and the guy sends me pictures. He's like, hey, somebody tried to break in the car. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? This thing's supposed to be going down to Destin. Well, Friday, which is tomorrow. This happened. We got back to car Monday. And there's the whatever they use to like try and be able to pop the window. To where they try and
Spark
do it
plug
where
or they use all kinds of stuff.
So it like shatters it. But it, it's double pane glass. So, and then we had, tint and stuff on there as well. And then, Range Rover has like all kinds of different stuff on there too. Even like where you got to like relocate. You got like even your tag for the car wash. Like you got to have it to where it's like in a certain place so that, cause you can't, it won't go through whatever this stuff. So
gotcha.
But I'll tell you what, man, it's like, I had to really, really take a step back and be like, you know what? These are lessons that I'm learning. And these are things that, I can't change. I can't avoid it. but we're taking this and we're moving it to what I'm going to consider a better area.
Yeah.
I think you're dealing with a different clientele. You know, there's a reason why like they rank some of the most dangerous cities, and I'm pretty sure St. Louis might be number
I
one.
think it's
If
up there.
not,
Yeah.
it's up there. But yeah, I mean, and then I had the car seat incident, right? So I had this guy, I was talking about this, and I said I was going to bring it up. So, okay, I have 3 children that I know of, okay? And my youngest is 10 years old. I haven't seen a car seat. In fact, I don't want a car seat anywhere around, because every time that we brought like a baby stroller or like a jumper or a car seat or anything else, somehow, some way, my wife would become pregnant. So it was like a bad omen, like, get this crap out of here. I don't want any more kids. I love my children, you know, but no. Okay. So I've had like, I can't have any more kids. And if she gets pregnant, I got questions. So
That's a whole nother episode.
that's a whole nother episode. That's not like 2.0, right? Or 2 of 2. So I end up, this person, I put on each car, I put like, oh yeah, well, we got like 3 car seats, and I got them in all kinds of sizes. I can take care of it. No big deal. I'm thinking maybe I might have to go 1 or 2 car seats I got to buy. Oh no, like everybody booked in the same week, and I end up going and buying like 10 car seats. And then I'm like, this was a really bad idea to put that on there. But I had to learn like forward facing, and there's like weight limits and things like that. Cause
There's a lot. Yeah.
this lady, she's renting from us. And my wife can see, she's a co-host listening on there too. So she can see all the messages and everything as they're coming across. And she said, this lady has, you know, a pretty young baby. I noticed that in the Amazon cart that you put a booster seat in there. And I was like, well, we need a car seat. She was like, it's a booster seat, idiot. She's like, there's weight limits. Ask her how much the boy
Baby
weighs, right?
Yeah.
So she's like 20 pounds. She was like, you were supposed to get a rear facing seat, and it was supposed to be, you know, like where it lock in, all that kind of stuff. So I was like, crap, man, you know, so anyway, so I ended up going and I bought that, learning forward facing, rear facing. And then we went through this other guy that came in town, and he threw a fit. He was just like, I can't believe these are complimentary seats. Okay. This guy, he says, he was like, I can't believe I'm renting this car and I got this $70 car seat, and my jaw's like hitting the floor. And like in my mind, I'm reaching through the phone and I'm choking the guy out. Right. Because I'm like, how dare you freaking, you know, and then I had to put my tie back on and my mouth zipper. And I had to say, okay, you know what? Like, we got to respond to this. Maybe this guy's just having a bad day or something. And I said to him, I'm like, listen, you know, we do these things in accordance to the DOT specifications with weight and, you know, the ages of the kids and that kind of thing. And I was like, we provide a lot of these. So we provide, again, in accordance to DOT specifications. If you have a specific brand or preference or something that is more appealing to you, you should probably consider bringing your own. And then I wrote out asshole in my mind, but I didn't say that.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, it's been a learning experience for learning those different things. But I've been watching some of the touches that you put on some of this stuff. And it's really, really great to see, because you don't see people write out personal notes to every single customer being like, hey, thanks so much for renting. It's a little touch, but it goes a really long way.
You know, I'm glad you said that, because a lot of people ask, well, why would I use Turo? You know, why not use the rental car companies? Well, again, you get a little different experience. So, you know, offering car seats. You know, who wants to travel and carry a playpen, stroller, and car seat through the airport, or wait for the extra? Go to the other baggage claim to get the car seat for the extra sized stuff. So there's that. There's the you know, you're talking to me directly or my wife or someone on our team, versus just a call center who really doesn't care. You know, luckily for us, we have a good inventory of cars. So if there is an issue with the car, we'll first try to put you in another car. If not, I'll get on the phone with Turo support and we will find you a new car. You know, they have bazillions of cars available. So And again, we do write a hand personal note and letting them know we're here. And
Well,
it's
I mean,
just
you
a different experience.
You get the exact kind of car, and you're not sitting there. I mean, I don't know how many lines I waited in, going to like Hertz or something
Right.
like that. You get the exact kind of car that you're after.
Yeah.
It's just like, I mean, it can be contactless. Like you just walk right out to that. Like we do for the airport, because they frown upon the Turo stuff at the airport, right? So what we do is we drop it off at the nearest terminal. And we have a box that I have and a lot of them, the trailer hitch. The ones that don't have a trailer hitch, I have a box that's on the side of the car. They just punch in the code, grab the key, and you go. And that's how we do it. And it's been wildly effective,
Yeah. So where we're at in Destin, Florida, there is it's a small town, to be honest. And it's like Lake of the Ozarks, right?
Yeah.
There's no one there all year. And then in the summer, boom,
Yeah.
it's just crazy and pandemonium. And that's how Destin, Florida is. So you will book a car at Hertz, Avis, whoever, and you show up and you're in line for an hour. I mean, these lines are ridiculous.
Yeah.
I go there to pick people up all the time, and I see the lines. It's crazy. And then you hear people screaming at the counter because their car is not there. They're sold out.
Or you think you're getting like an Escalade, and you get like
that Hyundai accent you were talking
the
about.
Hyundai accent.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with Hyundai accents.
Nothing wrong with it.
Yep.
But you get like a Xterra or something like that, then you're thinking.
And your family doesn't fit in it with all your luggage. So people pack according to what car is going to be available. So it's very common. And when I first started and I was by myself, I was getting Ubers from the airport back to my office location. And one of the guys was like, "So you don't have any luggage?" I said, "No, I do this thing called Turo." He goes, "Oh man, I pick up people all the time." He said, "You'll do great. I pick up people all the time that are belligerent, angry at the car rental companies here because they're always sold out. They outsell their cars all the time."
So you like sitting out there cherry picking out front?
Well, I have wanted to wear a shirt and just go walk up and down the line, but I don't want to risk that. But that's where our brains go.
Right.
Yeah.
I was thinking actually when you were talking about the playpen, I was like, oh man, I'm going to start offering playpens. I'll probably get in trouble for that too. Where we were told, that we really should not. I belong to like the different groups and things, and some of the stuff that you showed me, and they had said in the groups, like, you do not want to put the car seat, you can put it in the car, but do not assemble it, because if like something happens and a kid goes flying or something, you should have had that thing strapped in differently. It's your fault.
Yeah.
And you're now in liability. We've had to put all kinds of disclaimers and things in there.
Yeah.
Because the world is just too happy.
Right.
People can't take accountability anymore for the crap that they do.
Yeah.
It's always got to be somebody else's problem. So, but I mean, man, just to see your story and just to kind of see, I know that like both of us, and we'll get into a little bit, we'll go as deep as you want to go on there, but
I'm open book, man.
With the drugs and alcohol, as we have emerged in our business, there's a different level of stress that happens in business. And, when you get away from that for a little bit on the weekends or whatever, you just want to go buck wild.
Yeah. Just to get out of
and I know you and I, we were probably the best at it. Probably a little too good at it, right?
Too good at it.
Yeah. But, we both had confronted our problems and found a way to fix those problems. And not only just to fix those, but one of the things that I really admire about you is you want to help other people to fix. A lot of people will say, I'm available. You call me anytime that you need. They don't really mean that. Every time that I've said, hey, look, man, hey, I'm kind of going through this or whatever, and I've asked you, I'm like, hey, what would you do? You're like, hey, I've been there before.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that, because knowing that a friend is there and that truly cares and that there is nothing on the receiver end other than somebody genuinely trying to help you, it means everything. And there's a lot of people that'll say they're there, but they're really not there. And, I'm there for the people that I can be there for, and the different things, because I've definitely made a lot of mistakes.
Sure.
And,
me too.
I used to operate totally different than I do today.
Me too.
A good wife and some kids will straighten that right out of you.
Definitely helps.
I mean, that's been a blessing, I know, in both of our lives.
For sure.
I see like what an amazing dad and a husband that you are for, your daughter and
Thanks.
your wife. But yeah, I mean, I just see like you're happy. You know what I mean?
Freaking happy, man. It's been a whirlwind, and like I mentioned that coaching business a second ago. So I'll briefly tell. So drugs and alcohol were always kind of a part of my life, and it was weekend fun, then one day a week, and then it kept creeping.
Yeah.
And then I started missing family events, and the whole deal. And then it got so bad that I was locking myself in my closet for hours and thinking people were chasing me, and total delirium. It's craziness.
Yeah.
And it gets worse from that, but I don't need to share that. Just it was crazy. And so in those moments, I was still trying to run a business. Had over 100 employees.
Yeah.
And what I was good at was hiring people to do a lot of my job. And that works for a while. But then when they realize, just people in general, when you realize the boss isn't watching, then things start slipping. And that happened. But I went from financially doing really well to going bankrupt about a little over 5 years ago. And I don't think anybody really knows, other than a couple of my close friends or closest friends.
Yeah.
But I didn't advertise it, didn't talk about it. But man, it
That's something we broadcast.
yeah, a lot of ego and pride was crushed in there because my emptiness I was trying to fill with drugs and alcohol was all ego and pride. So I was buying fast cars, fast boats, and living this fast life, party life. Because in the well, I don't want to talk bad about those circles because there's some really great people in those circles, but I love taking everything to the extremes. And I went to a treatment center when I was probably 25 or 6, somewhere around there. I don't remember exactly. I'm 47 now, but I went to a treatment center for 30 days, and that was kind of to shut the girlfriend up that I was talking to kind of clean up a little bit. You're right, guys. It got a little out of control. Yeah, you're right. And then at the end, about 28 days into the program, they're like, okay, let's talk with all your counselors in one room, and we're going to talk about your aftercare program. And I'm like, aftercare? I got 2 more days of this shit, and I'm out.
I'm getting out of here and go doing a bump.
I said I'm coming here for 30. Yeah. And I'm out. Aftercare. And they were talking about, recovery meetings. And I'm just like looking at them like I'm crazy. And I remember the look on their face like, oh God, this guy ain't going to do it. They were shocked that I was so standoffish because I was doing so good in treatment.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I leave there. I don't do anything that they tell me to do. And shortly after, I relapsed and carried back on for a while. And if you know anything about addiction, alcoholism, anything, if you stop and start, it always goes worse every time. It's a progressive disease, they call it. And it was progressing. And so then in and out of AA multiple times. And unfortunately, I abused the meetings to just help me get better for a short amount of time. And then I'd go back out. And I was about 40 because I had my first child. My wife was pregnant, or I don't know if she just had it or I was pregnant, or she was pregnant. But a friend of mine who got clean and sober himself started a treatment center. Mm-hmm. And he was probably clean for about 4 or 5 years and started a treatment center. And I reached out to him. I said, man, it's time again. I'm 40 years old. I can't keep doing this. I got a family now. And I said, but I don't know how much it is. I can't really afford it right now, but, let me save up. And he said, dude, just come in Monday. I said, but how much is it? He said, just come in. So I came in, and this guy, David Brecker, gave me a free treatment. Free. And if you know how much treatment centers are, they're expensive.
Yeah.
And, man, the reason I say his name is I want you to remember his name. So I go there, I get better. And again, things are starting to go really well. And what do? Stop doing the work that got me well. And I relapsed again. And at that point is when my wife was like, okay, things need to change or I'm out, basically. And if you know my wife, she's the sweetest woman in the world, will put up with anything for as long as ever. But I pushed her a little too far. That's probably her calling right there. It is. Look at that. Like clockwork. Sorry, babe. I got to send you a voicemail. But anyway, so I started getting better, and David Brecker had relapsed. And unfortunately, he is now dead.
Oh.
So the gentleman that helped get me back on the right path, the disease progressed. He stopped doing the work, and it got him.
Oh,
And it
my
got
goodness.
him. And so I'll never forget what he did for me or my family. And if I talk too much about it, I'll cry. And I ain't afraid to say that. But the dude saved my life. And you would think that his program was enough, but it wasn't. So I relapsed. And when my wife said, again, let me back up. Every time I went to an event, a program, a recovery meeting, anything, I learned something.
Yeah.
But I wasn't ready, you know? So all these seeds were being planted for all these years. And then when it finally came the time, my wife said, you need to get help or I'm out. And so this time it wasn't about just doing it for the girlfriend or just for the wife. I was done. It wasn't fun anymore. It was miserable. It was embarrassing. And I was very unfulfilled. And so I'm like, I guess I got to go to a treatment center. So I'm scrolling on Facebook, and all of a sudden I see this guy who's offering this military-style boot camp for 4 days. And I'm like, dude, I would rather get my ass kicked by this guy for 4 days than go somewhere for 30 days, right? Again, I thought that was a really good idea. And at this point, I'm hooked on cocaine, alcohol. I was eating Adderall like candy. That was pretty much it. But I would take Adderall to get out of bed because I couldn't get out of bed. That would give me 10 a.m. I could be somewhere at 10 a.m. But I never scheduled anything before that.
Yeah.
And I used to think I had lower back pain. Those were my kidneys.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I thought I had back problems. No, it
Kidneys.
was my kidneys. And so there was a time, and also I thought I had the flu every month, but it was really just dehydration and withdrawals.
Wow.
But I was really oblivious to what happened. I didn't know that those were withdrawals at the time. I really thought I was sick all the time.
Yeah.
And so there was a time I was burning up, and I'm like, man, I got the flu again, you know. And I was so hot that I was sleeping completely naked, or not sleeping, trying to sleep.
Yeah.
But I was on drugs. And so I go and sit on the toilet, and I pass out, and boom, my face hits the wall, and I hit the tile, and the tile was so cold, it felt so good. And my wife's like, I'm calling an ambulance. And I said, I ain't moving. She's like, you got to put clothes on. The ambulance is coming. I don't care. This feels so good. Ambulance comes, and I was so dehydrated, they couldn't put an IV in me. They take me to the hospital just to get an IV done, and it took 4 nurses. And finally, some guy came down from the 5th floor who was like the pro, and he got it. But arms everywhere, it's all poked, trying to just to get an IV. So I say all that just to say just how bad it was. But
Oh, you're good.
okay, and so anyways, so I see this 4-day boot camp, and you know I'm addicted to drugs, alcohol, and I sign up to go. And so I did like a 3-day bender before this event. And my wife's like, that's it. I'm out. He's not going to this thing. And so I clean up like half a day before the event, which was not good. And I'm going to this event with successful business owners, right? Who are just there to like grow their business. No one else is there for drugs and alcohol.
Okay.
I'm with a group. For some reason, there's a lot of Mormons there. They've never touched alcohol.
Right.
You know, and so I come in looking like a bag of shit, feeling like a bag of shit. And they're immediately 5 minutes into this thing, it's all physical. And I mean, I'm sweating immediately, and right away they call me out in front of everyone and say, I remember like, because I didn't tell anybody else why I was there. I told the coaches who I interviewed with on the phone, and I'm in this plank position, and my arms are shaking, and they're yelling at us about why are you really here? Be honest, da da da, and they're like, what about you, Vincent? Are you going to tell everyone that you took your daughter's college fund and snorted up your nose?
Oh.
I'm at this event for 3 minutes. And I'm like, holy shit, this thing is different.
Yeah.
And looking back, I mean, I was terrified, and I was about ready to leave. And I'm like, no, that's what you always do. You run, you hide from your addiction. This is why you're here. And I'll tell you, it was the hardest 4 days of my life.
Yeah.
You know, I collapsed a few times. Looking back, probably health-wise, I probably wouldn't
that's
advise
great.
someone going in that condition. But I'm really glad I did it. And so when I went through that thing, and came out on the other side, I mean, I was a different person, completely different person. And for the first time, somebody stood up and punched me in the face with the truth. And that's when I fell in love with coaching. I'm like, nobody talked to me that way before.
Yeah.
No one like seriously got in my face and then at the end tell me they love me, like care about you. Like, that's why we're doing this stuff. And it just mind blown. And so I remember sitting in that event, and I was still in the mortgage industry at the time. And I'm like, I want to do this. I want to do this, but for people in my situation who, business owners who let drugs and alcohol kind of come into their life, and it's uncontrollable at this time.
There's a lot of it that exists within, especially very wealthy people.
Correct.
Probably more than not.
Yeah, I would say you're right.
Ways, but go ahead.
Yeah, and a lot of it's hidden and covered up, and which I'm not blaming anyone. That was me.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I go through this thing, and I go home, work hard on myself, and take everything they taught me, and I applied it, and things really turned around. Less than a year later, they reached out to me and said, "Hey, we're blown away by what we've seen. The guy that came in and you, different guy. We're trying to grow our company. Would you want to come join us? You want to come work with us and be one of us?" I was like, the answer is yes. And so I went from making a good amount of money to making the lowest amount of money, but I was doing it for the right reasons. And my wife started working, bringing in money. She was the breadwinner for a little while there, and she really supported me through this whole entire thing, like unconditionally. It's crazy.
I talked about the hair fund
The
in
what?
the car coming over here,
Oh, yeah.
and having a good support system around you. People don't understand, and
Yeah.
a good spouse, it's, it was a game changer for me, because I was a complete fuck up. And I did not only just a lot of like things in business and everything. I took shortcuts, like I did a lot of things that I'm not proud of. But I've learned lessons from all those things. And, it's like at the time, like bad things kept happening. And now it's like opposite, like good things keep happening, and it's when it became for me, not about making money, but making an impact. That's when things really, really took off. That's when things totally changed for me because I was able to touch a person's life. I was able to make a difference. I fell in love in a counselor way, in a different way. You mentioned you actually went through a boot camp and, an addiction recovery program.
Mm-hmm.
So I, in a sense, kind of went through a different type of program, and I would say it was more self-evolved. And I didn't get to that point, but and I'll go back on that. But what I found was with these people that were requiring these SR22s, it was drinking and driving, drugs, things like that, and you'd start talking to people, and I noticed it was a little bit of, it was like God kind of took me and was like, "Hey, you need to speak to these people." It was like I came into their life, and a lot of these people become friends. I've lost a couple of different clients because, they've relapsed and, they went too far and heroin and, now, that kind of thing. I will tell you, like I've met some really, really great people over the years. That was the thing that made me fall in love with what I did. It was what everybody used to call the crap business. They're like, "Oh, it's high risk auto, dude. I don't want nothing to do with it."
Yeah.
I couldn't get the business. They couldn't get, like, if I would go to like a State Farm or something like that, they couldn't get rid of that business fast enough. They're like, "Absolutely, you go ahead. If you want the turd pile, that's on to you." Okay. But it was people that I could relate with, that I could be able to counsel and talk to. And I was trying to be able to provide solutions. I started groups within that where I was like, "Hey, I want you to join this group." And what it is it's like second chance credit. This is like, if you've ever had a felony, these are the people that will hire you. If you are looking for housing, like these are people that will give you second chance housing. These are, we started providing resources to people so that we could be able to help them to escape the hold that the world had put on them, all because of drugs and alcohol. People aren't bad people because of that they get hooked on drugs and alcohol. In fact, there's a lot of these people that I've known, they're very good people and they want to get off of it. They just don't know how to get off of it.
Yeah.
My biggest thing was drinking, definitely. And it started as I would drink to try to be able to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And then, I party and, I was hungover and I would have like the worst anxiety that would happen with that. And like you were saying, then you'd be taking Adderall,
Right.
be, doing different drugs to be able to get you up in the morning and that
Right.
kind of thing. And it was, a while there, it really got bad. And I started shirking obligations and, I was supposed to be a power of example. I'll never forget. I walked in the office because I knew that there was supposed to be a rep there that was cutting us a pretty good bonus check. And Amy, that worked at my office at the time, I went in there and I was hammered drunk still. I mean, I'm talking like you could smell the alcohol like radiating out of me.
Yeah.
And I don't know how, well, actually, I do know how I ended up getting up, but I was way up. But I walked in there and she was like, "You're in no condition to meet with this rep. You don't know."
Yeah.
And she gave me a ride home.
Mm.
And she was like, "You need to really take a look at yourself, hard look, because you're the power of example. You're what everybody's looking at. And you are setting the tone in here. You're coming in here drunk, hungover, all
Right.
that. Like, that's not okay, man."
Right.
And this is a lady that worked for me.
Right.
Right. So,
Wow.
and
Kudos
that
to
kinda,
her.
right. It
Yeah.
hit home with that. I mean, there's so many different things. Like there was one night, there was what was it, Grappa Grill, I think.
Old
And
Grappa Grill.
they had like a happy hour and stuff. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
just got hammered drunk there. And I had a couple cars. And so I got a ride home from one of my, the people that I was with. I got a ride home. And then they're like, I was back up there again. I drove a different car up there. Right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that happened again. Like they took me home again. I drove up again, and they're like, "Okay, well now you're out of cars, so and we're not giving you the keys to any of the cars and everything anymore." But I was that committed to try to be able to. I just wanted to get wasted,
Yeah.
because I was running from problems that I thought I could not escape,
Yep.
and it's, if people need help, if they need somebody to be able to reach out to, I really, really mean it when I say, shoot me a message. I know you're the same way.
100%.
They can shoot a message. I will try and, give you some guidance. Maybe not what you want to hear,
Yeah.
but I'll try and give you some guidance of some things that help me to be able to get away from this, because it is a disease that, it lives in everybody. And we don't understand that alcohol is readily accessible. Now, cocaine's not, but
Right.
unless you go to the Ozarks,
Yeah, it can be.
right? And then it's very accessible. But yeah, as far as that goes, it was like you had these things that are readily available, like pain pills and things like that. They
Right.
would prescribe stuff, Adderall. I mean, somebody'd say, "Oh, I'm having a hard time focusing or something," then that would get abused.
Yeah.
And I've seen it too many different times to where, it's like, you mentioned like the Mormon culture, right? And being out in Utah. So the big thing out there is, because of the religion in a lot of ways, what I have noticed in the SR22 business, that people that I'm going to say Utah. Okay. So they would abuse pills and things because it
'Cause
was
it's not alcohol.
because it's not alcohol.
It's
and
legal prescription.
It's prescription drugs,
Yeah.
right? So they would abuse pills, and that actually became more of a worse problem than anything.
Right.
And I noticed this with that stuff, and I mean, out in California, they were like finding things to get high. You got somebody sucking on an air conditioner or something like that to freaking get high.
Yeah.
There was this. I mean, I don't even know some of the crap that they used to come up with to get high, but California was a whole different ball of wax out there. Some of those people need to have their head examined.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I said, at the end of the day, man, we wound up on the top side of things, and it doesn't always land like that.
No, we're lucky.
But we're running a little short on time. I appreciate you so much for coming out here and just sitting here and having a conversation. I'm looking forward to working together with you. I want everybody to know about Destin Cars, because that's where some of my stuff's going to be at too.
Yeah, he's going to send some cars down to Destin Cars.
So tell them,
please join us at or follow me at Destin Cars, DESTINCARS, on the socials, and then DestinCars.com is our website. But if you're coming to Destin, let me know.
Destin, Florida, yeah.
Whichever camera. There's 3 of them.
Over here. Right. We get you from all views over here. Yeah. Check it out. I'm telling you, nobody does it better than John.
Thank you.
I've really learned a lot from watching you and doing different things. You've helped me with mentoring through whether you knew it or not, to be able to, increase my game out here. And we're bringing down a few. We got one that's got punctured windows at the moment here. We're going to have to fix those
outside.
Right. Yeah. So, we're going to send some more down there on that stuff. I'm super proud of you, man. I'm happy for you guys.
Proud of you too, man.
And I appreciate you being on here. So thank you for coming up here. And
thank you.
Yeah. Till next time, man.